want to be giving gratuitous advice to you. Maybe General Bakshi can debate this with you better. But China is nobody's friend. China is alone in the world now. In the world community, China is alone. You are also very aware that this sudden interest in Indian territory, it's laughable. You are, of course, an important nation, but if you think you're squaring off with India on border issues, you should be dreaming. It's never going to happen. We're not going to talk to you about it. But I only wanted to start by telling you this, that the Lipulekh Pass in Kalapani, which is in Indian territory, is a very important vantage point for India to keep an eye on Chinese movements. So strategically, we keep an eye on Chinese movements for a long time. Yeah, let me complete my question, sir. My question is, China, I believe that you are just being egged on by China. China is using you because Lipulekh Pass in Kalapani is an important strategic point for India to keep an eye on Chinese movements, right, for a long time, for more than 40, 50 years, right? You must not compromise the India-Nepal friendship just to give China a small strategic advantage. Also, personally, I am of the view that it makes Nepal look like a, what you call a rentier state of China. You need not take Chinese foreign policy as your own interests, and you should not aggravate the situation with India. Now, you are free to make your point. Yes, go ahead, sir.
First of all, I mean, the way you're saying me, it sounds like you're giving me a statement, giving me a message. That's certainly not the style how television interviews are done in Nepal. First of all, I mean, if you ask me where Nepal stands, what are the facts, how we think this should be resolved, and then I'll be able to answer that question. I very strongly would like to put this fact that the border issue is an outstanding issue. India is committed to resolve this through bilateral means, diplomatic means. This is precisely what your government has said. I mean, when we sent a note that the foreign secretaries of both sides should hold meeting, hold consultation, the letter that we received was once two nations and two societies are done dealing with the challenges of the COVID-19 crisis, then two countries can sit down. We have said, I mean, this can be done even earlier. So I would not like to incite this further, but the thing is, we have said very clearly that we would like to present all the evidences that are there, and then government of India can also produce its evidences.
No.
Both sides can sit down and talk, and then this could be resolved.
You know, that way with
China is not doing, and what I should do and what I should not do. This is not what you should be saying. You should be asking my
Mr.
opinion.
Rijal,
you may disagree with me.
Mr. Rijal, let me tell you what is offensive. I am being very subtle and very polite. On the other hand, may I tell you what is may I tell you what is offensive? I'll give you an example. And I don't know how interviews are done in Nepal, but I know how they are done in India. This is how we do it. Your country's Prime Minister has said...
First of all, I mean, let me make it very clear that if we do not respect as people of two different nations, if we do not respect each other as individuals who have their views,
so the comment from the...
then we probably would not have a very nice conversation. But we have to be very clear on that.
Yeah, but the problem is that your Prime Minister
when you
said...
say you should do it, you should do this,
okay, so I'll get you into the debate with General Bakshi. I'll get you into the debate with General Bakshi. But I'll tell you this,
of course,
that your country's Prime Minister said that the coronavirus strain coming from India is more lethal than the coronavirus strain coming from China. Can you explain this? What kind of a comment is that?
First, I mean, look.
Why did he say that?
Look, I will... Can I answer your question?
Yeah, sure.
First of all, the government, the Prime Minister, and there are issues that we differ. We are in the opposition, he is in the government, there might be issues, the way, I mean, this is presented, there could be differences. But the thing is, on the border issue, we're together. On the border issue, we fully support the position Prime Minister has taken. How he presents it is his style. Different leaders in the world
I was just very intrigued. I was just very intrigued that, and now I hand over to GD Bakshi and Sushant and others who want to debate with you. I was just very intrigued what is the epidemiological or scientific basis?
Mr. Arnab,
you see, Mr. Rijal,
have patience to listen to
Mr. Rijal, can I make one point,
please,
and I'm going to listen to you. But I want to know, how did the Nepalese Prime Minister say that the China coronavirus strain is good, but the India coronavirus strain is bad? I mean, it's crazy.
I am not
Why
an
is he
expert
making
in
this
corona.
comment?
Cannot answer your question.
It's a pattern, I see.
I approve of Prime Minister. Hang on. I approve Prime Minister position on the border issue. I approve. Have full support for
what's happened, and why are you bent on spoiling the relationship?
That's none of my business.
So why are you? All Indians are asking you. We like Nepal. We've had good relations with Nepal. Narendra Modi went to Nepal. What has come over Nepal? You suddenly want to fight with India? I mean, I don't know what's going on. Okay. Let GD Bakshi respond to you, sir, now, please.
Okay, but let me make one point. Please, let's respect each other. We are people of two different nations. There are the border issue is an outstanding issue. I should not be telling what you should be doing. You cannot be telling me what I should be doing.
No, you do what is in your best interest, but think of the long-term consequences.
Yes, of course.
Yes, General Bakshi.
Yes, of course.
I would like to state to my Nepalese friends, as the Indian Army sees it, we have the rishta of roti beti with the people of Nepal, right? Very few, no other country we have this. I would go a step further. I would say that we have the rishta of blood, khoon. Gurkha soldiers, Gurkha boys in our Gurkha regiments have fought in each and every one of the wars that we fought with Pakistan, with China. They have shed blood for our country. We, especially in the Indian Army and the Indian nation, will never forget this. Please understand this. Please understand this. I think we did a, let me speak to you very frankly. Thank you. I am telling you very frankly, in our Congress era, we Indians have scored a self-goal by helping the Maoists come to power in Kathmandu. Look what they have done to you and what they have done to our relations, right? Relations which was so deep, so fraternal. Nobody needs a passport from Nepal to come to India and vice versa, right? Does it happen with every country? We have a fraternal, deep relation. At one time, you were the only Hindu country in the world. You are one of the bastions of our culture. We are astounded. We have been taken aback that you are siding with China, and I will give you the reason for it, please. Let me be frank and talk as friends. Can
I respond to that?
Can I just finish?
General, can I respond to that?
I'll just finish. Then I would love to hear you. I would love to hear you. I would give you hear you with the fullest respect. I am saying, a month plus back, there was a political crisis in Nepal. With due apologies, because of the corruption of the present government, a lot of your legislators were upset and the government almost fell. You remember that? That was the time. Let me be blunt and straightforward. The Chinese came to the rescue of the present establishment. They rescued you. Well, they paid a lot of people. They paid look, let's talk honestly, because friends can be very straightforward. They paid the present government and they are now under duress to raise the border issue. You think we are going to fight with you? It is beneath the Indian Army. And the Indian Army is not interested in fighting with you, especially when the road which you are talking of, as it is west of the river, of the Kali River, Mahakali River.
Can I now?
The only question
can I now respond to that?
Okay. Please.
Can I respond to that? First, I agree with you. Nepal and India have a special relationship. I do not agree that China has to do anything with what happens here. I do not agree you. This probably you can say for the public consumption in India. I can understand that. But the thing is,
can I give you an evidence of that?
India has its own position. Nepal has its own position. Eminent Persons Group has identified this point as outstanding border
No, it's
point.
not. No. Which Eminent Persons Group, sir?
Both sides have agreed.
Which Eminent Persons Group, sir? One second. Which Eminent Persons Group, I may ask you?
Nepal has not taken any.
Which Eminent Persons Group?
I mean, you're stopping me only. I mean, if you do not let me speak,
sir, I'm known to ask counter questions, Mister. I don't understand why.
No.
Do I have to be subservient to you?
Let me first respond to.
Do I have to be subservient to you?
If you do not, no, please, Arnav, if you do not let me respond to Mr. Bakshi, then I mean, there is absolutely no point of having me on the television.
No, but am I not allowed to counter you on anything?
Do not let me respond to that, then why do you have me on the television? Can I respond to Mr. Bakshi's point of view?
Mm-hmm.
Can I or not?
Go on, but I also have a right to respond to you if you're factually incorrect. That's all I'm saying.
Of course, I mean, you made a lot of points. You have not been able to respond to you also. You've said Nepal has taken unilateral action. No, Nepal has not taken unilateral action. Mr. Bakshi said Prime Minister has taken certain positions. I mean, I cannot defend how he is running the government. I am opposition. There are certain things on which only people from his party.
Tell me one thing. Now I want to counter you, sir. Sir, now I want to counter you, sir. Do I have the permission to counter you? You made your point. I want to counter you, and there are other panelists. Sushant also wants to counter you. Explain to me one thing. Sir, I'll tell you one thing, Mr. Rijal. I show no disrespect. But I am not a believer in diplomatic extrasensory perception. I am not a believer in geostrategic telepathy. And I'll tell you why. I will prove to you on my program that you are acting as Chinese puppets. Don't mind the straightforward language I use. I'll tell you why. Because what you are saying, your Eminent Persons Group and all did, is something that China announced on the 9th of August 2017. What are you saying, sir? How did China read your mind? And allow me to give you the example of this. Let me elucidate this. Let me elucidate this, sir. So with the respect to you, I want to elucidate it. I want to elucidate it. I want to elucidate it. I want to elaborate on it. I want to explain to you. I want to explain to you. I want to explain to you, not with the intention to corner you, sir. I need to explain to you. I need to explain to you one statement. One statement, Mr. Rijal. One statement, sir. One statement, sir. One statement. Wang Wenli is a Chinese official. In 2017, India and China were locked in eyeball-to-eyeball situation in Doklam, in Sikkim. China eventually retreated because there was such massive mobilization on the Indian side. They realized. Now let me tell you, listen to the full story. Listen to this. Mr. Renji, please listen. Let me complete. I request you to let me complete. I'll take 10 more seconds. At that time, you know what the Chinese said? The Chinese said the following. What will New Delhi do? We have been defeated in Doklam, but what will you do if we enter through the Kalapani region of Nepal? You go and check. How did the Chinese say that in 2017?
You're just making it up.
I am not making it up, sir. You are astonishingly unaware on this. This is a comment made by Wang Wenli, Deputy Director General of the Boundary and Ocean Affairs, speaking in response to External Affairs Minister then Sushma Swaraj.
Not how it's done.
Sir,
I very strongly resent it. You're making a point of view.
I am asking you, I am only asking you, sir, how did the Chinese read your mind?
Are you making a statement?
How did the Chinese read your mind? Question. Not statement, question. How did the Chinese read your mind? Question, no statement. How did the Chinese read your mind?
You're making a statement.
I am asking a question. How did the Chinese raise the Kalapani issue 3 years back?
First of all, I mean, you have to understand our two governments, government of Nepal and government of India, at the secretary level have agreed that this is an outstanding issue. We have agreed that we will attend to it, and government of India has said that after the two countries are done dealing with the corona crisis, secretary level meeting can be held.
No,
and
sir.
Government of India has said that we are ready and willing to.
No, we're not going to talk.
And we are ready and willing to
Okay, Mr. Rijal, Sushant Sareen wants to respond to you.
He's constantly
Sushant Sareen.
repeating himself.
Sushant Sareen, please.
So look, I think what Mr. Rijal is saying, I completely disagree. Number one, he keeps talking about respect. What is the kind of respect his Prime Minister is showing to India? Forget this business. And if these guys feel so strongly and they think because Nepal has such a strong scientific base that they figured out that the coronavirus which is coming from India and India has spread the coronavirus in Nepal, then they should block the borders. They should stop all contact with us, for all I care.
Yeah.
You know, but the kind of language the Prime Minister uses, he uses the Ashoka emblem of ours and he takes a dig at us. Is this what good friends are supposed to do? And it's very clear, look, in Nepal, there have been always two strands of opinion. There are people like this clown Oli who think that they will be able to validate their rule by abusing India, by seem to be standing up to India. What side deals they want to cut for themselves and for their cronies is another matter. But they want to show to their people and mislead their people that they are standing up to India, that India is the big ogre. Do these guys have the guts to say something similar about China when the Chinese finger them? Now suddenly, and Arnab, let me tell you this, for Nepal, this has been an old kind of attack. Under King Mahendra, what they used to do is that they used to play the fiddle with the Pakistanis because they thought that the Pakistanis will be able to, in a sense, defend them. The Pakistanis will be a foil for them as a counterbalancing force. After 1971, they suddenly smelled the coffee that this won't happen anymore. So then they again backed off. They have tried to do it with Nepal in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s. You know, when they started getting into a defense relationship with the Chinese. This is what they did at that point of time. Again, they backed off from that. Now suddenly they see China as this big counterpoint to India and they think that they can press India. They think that they can finger India. And that is what they've been trying to do. So this Kala Pani thing, every time the government gets into a bit of a tangle, they start raising this Kala Pani issue. Now this issue is not a new one. It's been a very old, outstanding issue.
Prakash or Subhash?
What they have done recently, is this the way to do it? And if this is the language they are going to use...
I'd like Prakash or Subhash to respond to that. Prakash Rimal, editor of Himalayan Times, and Subhash Gimire, editor-in-chief of Republica Daily. I want to tell you, Mr. Rijal, let me tell you one thing. Can I say one thing to you? Can I, sir, please. Sir,
you have to give me 30 seconds to respond.
But there are three panelists who have not spoken. Mr. Rijal, you're being extremely unfair.
If you ask me to defend everything the way government runs here, I'm not the right person.
But what language does your Prime Minister use?
The political party of the government. But on this issue, on the border issue, we are united with the Prime Minister. But there are many other issues we differ with the Prime Minister. But on border issue, we are together. So there are certain issues that you've raised that does not deal with...
Okay, we have Syed Zafar Islam responding from the Indian side. He's a spokesperson of the BJP. Mr. Syed Zafar Islam, along with Subhash or Prakash Rimal. I want to tell you one thing, Mr. Mahendra Rijal. I have great affection, we have great affection for the people of Nepal. Personally, I do. I have had the great opportunity to report in your country at a tumultuous time, post the unfortunate events which happened in the then royal family. Mr. Rijal, are you hearing me? You know, so we've seen the violence then on the streets of Kathmandu. We've seen what I saw then was that anyway, anytime there's trouble in Nepal, there are motivated people who try to create, Mr. Rijal, please, there are motivated people who try to distract attention. I'm saying this to you, Mr. Rijal, as a well-wisher. There are motivated people in your country, Chinese lobbies who try to use, whenever there's an internal problem, try and direct the anger towards India. We need to have a long-term relationship, a fruitful relationship, and I am very happy to inform you that even during the 1962 war with China, sir, I want to tell you this, even during the 1962 war with China, we deployed Indo-Tibetan border police personnel, our paramilitary personnel at Kala Pani at an observation post. So history, please, you can't change. Syed wants to make a point to the two journalists in Nepal.
Listen to this.
Sir, let the others come in. Mr. Rijal, let's be fair. Mr. Rijal, let others come in.
You have spoken enough.
Mr. Rijal, please.
I cannot defend my Prime Minister.
Mr. Rijal, please.
On the border issue,
Mr. Rijal, let's get Prakash and Subhash Gimire also on the debate.
first of all, I would like to say to all the friends from Nepal, all three friends of Nepal, that we do not really appreciate the statement made by your Prime Minister. This was totally uncalled for, because the kind of statement is definitely does not suit the Prime Minister, and this kind of statement should have not been spoken, because we enjoy a very good relationship with Nepal. We really respect our friendship, and certainly we were not expecting this kind of a statement from the Prime Minister of Nepal. Having said that, let me also make it absolutely clear. Our position is absolutely clear. Allow me to complete and then you can speak. Our position is absolutely clear. There is no dispute here that this is our territory, and we need not even want to discuss or engage you on this particular issue. That is something which has already been clarified to you time and again, and this has been also clarified today by the spokesperson of Ministry of External Affairs. This is not an issue, and if you want to raise it at the behest of someone else, it is totally uncalled for. All I want to tell you that we enjoy a good relationship. You are a good neighbor. Let's stay a good neighbor. Do not raise issue which is totally, you will not get any engagement from our country, and you are raising issue which will not get any endorsement from your own many of your own countrymen. So please do not do something in haste at the behest of some other country who has to serve their own interests, and at the cost of our relationship with you or your relationship with our country, a good relationship which you enjoy for ages. And I also
Subhash, who wants to come in. Subhash.
As the opposition leader, that you must
as one journalist to another, and also as one Indian to a Nepali citizen. I am a citizen of India and you are a citizen of Nepal. I just want to share one thing with you. One point I want to make to you today. You see, our view is that you should not fall for the China trap, because our view is that you can't trust the Chinese. See, globally, any African country which has done business with China has regretted it. The South Americans regret it. A relationship with the Chinese never ends well and never doesn't last. You know that China just last week on their China Global Television Network, never be Nepal's friend. What are you doing? Why are you spoiling a long-standing good relationship with India? What are you gaining? I want to understand. What are you gaining?
Okay. Number one, Arnabji, thank you for having me on this show.
My pleasure.
You know, it's
to India during the Doklam crisis. They said we will use Kala Pani. I was only very interested to know, how did the Chinese read your mind 3 years back? See, you are not doing this independently.